Okay. Hey, thank you. My name is Scott Hamilton. People know me as Blade Lacane. Also might know me as JD Barnes in Uru. I'm here to present on this new project, Unwritten, which is a role-playing game based in the universe of Mist and Need. Hope you like my presentation. It's not as exciting. Nothing's going to explode. But, we're good. Just want to put a disclaimer. Any is not yet written, neither is the game yet. I'm going to talk about a couple things here, but we've got a lot of work to do in the game, so any of that might change. But I'm hoping to give you kind of an overview of what we're going to be doing, why we're doing it, how we're doing it, and I'll try to go through it quick so people can eat. So I want to talk about who's involved. We've kind of called in our group Inkworks Productions. It's myself, my lovely wife Ellery, who's doing graphic design. Gary, aka Alnat, is our Denis historian. The name that no one's going to recognize on here is the bottom one, Doug Barry. He's an RPG author. He's written RPGs for Steve Jackson games, specifically in the Traveler line there. He's going to help us kind of, kind of clean up the words and that sort of that. And eventually we'll also be approaching artists and illustrators and others as part of the project. So why? Why am I doing this? Uru is missing something. We've got a lot in Uru, but there's still a key element missing. I mean, we've got multiple immersive platforms. We've got places to do things. We've got Mist Online. We've got Second Life, which has a very vibrant community. We've got the Devilkin Project, which is on the OS grid. We've got all kinds of places. We have a very diverse community. We see it here. We've got for people all over the world, lots of very creative people. And we have a rich and expansive lore. We've got a background of the likes that very few people understand. So what do we need? We need a storytelling toolbox, a way to tell stories. Ever since Uru began, the stories that we tell become part of the mythos, part of the history. If you look at some of the examples from Uru, you've got Brian Fioca, who I think is actually, is he in there still? Oh, he's out there, okay. That's emergent play from people just interacting with the story. And that's the sort of thing that we need across the board. We may never get another Myst game, who knows? But we as a community, we can create more to this universe. And everyone can tell a story. You can all sit down, you can shoot the crap, whatever you like. But we can tell better stories if we have the right tools. So the idea is that we need to find a way, make a home. And the Unwritten project is intending to give you the tools to do that. We're going to try to create story tools for those Myst fans out there to make the stories that you've always wanted to tell, to run through those ideas that you always had, say that'd be cool if. But also we want to take this universe that we love so much and take it out to the greater community of role-playing gamers. Because there are people out there who played Myst and they love Myst and they've never heard of us. And I'll explain a little bit more of that later. Okay, so we'll talk about the actual tools themselves. Unwritten is being built on a game engine called Fate. Fantastic adventures in tabletop entertainment. It's an open source system. It's under the Open Gaming License, so that means that it's completely free, and it's been used as basis for a lot of different games. The Dresden Files RPG, if anyone's read Dresden Files. Spirit of the Century, which is a pulp 1940s game. Star Blazers, which is science fiction. Bulldogs is another science fiction one. Diaspora is very hard science fiction. Caribous Club, which is superheroes in the Victorian era. Agents of Swing, which is a 60s sort of Austin Powers sort of game. Icons, which is superheroes. So we've got a lot of variety that can run on this particular engine. Several of these games have won awards. Several awards, the Ennies Awards, and all kinds of different awards that are presented in the role-playing community. Now, what does Fate bring to Uru? It's a well-established game with a well-established community. That means that we can tell our stories in a way that other people are going to see and engage with very quickly. You can say, hey, I'm gonna run, I want to run a game of Unwritten. What that means? So it's Myst and it's Fate. Then you're gonna have people who are gonna automatically know that, people who are in the industry who know that system and say, okay, I know what to expect. Another thing that can bring us more Myst fans. A few months ago, I released some information saying, hey, I'm gonna make this game. I put it on a couple places where the Fate people hang out. And I got a ton of emails going, oh my God, this is the most perfect thing I've ever heard. And in fact, one of the guys who designed the Fate system himself is like, I'm a huge fan. I was in Uru. This is so great. Can we talk about it? So there are a lot more fans out there than we even know that we've never gotten to. By kind of bridging the communities here, we're gonna have a chance to find more of us. Fate also brings a very unique system that's focused on story. No magic missiles. No, really. I mean, sure, you can say, I find no magic missile in the darkness. But that's not what this game is about. Fate is designed to emulate how a novel works. It's about narrative, it's about story, it's about character, it's about drama. Players collaborate on their stories together and focus on dramatic focal points. It's not a situation where you have to, where we always play D&D, it's like, okay, I've got 5 plus this, and I've got my sword, and I gotta do this, and it's raining, so it gives me my... None of that really matters. What matters is the drama. And you have a point that says, okay, sure, it may be raining, but right now it matters. And now it becomes a story point. It becomes a plot point. And that the game is built around that concept. You have these things which can be used for you, can be used against you. You just gotta bring them into play. And it's collaborative. We're trying to make a story here. It's not, you don't level up your characters. You have a character, and you have a story you want to tell. And even the character creation itself is collaborative. You don't sit down like, okay, here's what I'm gonna play. You sit down and say, hey, I wanna play this, you wanna play that, what does that mean? How do we know each other? You start the game before, so those gamers out there who've been in the thing of, we're in a bar. Oh yeah, I think I'll follow you. You look interesting. No. Here, characters' interactions, characters' relationships are built ahead of time. In fact, it's part of the character. The character creation is part of the game. You sit down in a session, you trade things back and forth, you talk about things. So it's about a group of people, not only the GM, but a group of people say, what do we want to make the game to be? And the players get to add things to the game. Let's see here. I'm going to run through fast, I apologize. I want to talk about some of the things about what Unwritten is trying to evoke. The first one is real people doing amazing things in extraordinary worlds. Now, there are no superheroes in Uru. Yisha notwithstanding. The bar, okay, we got aliens, okay, that's fine. But it's really about people. Sharper was just this guy. He loved the Packers. A little quick on the trigger. Atris was just a guy who was trying to teach his kids the right things and did it wrong twice in a row. These are real people. These are just people in extraordinary places. So heroes are just people. Villains are just people. Savidra was just a guy who'd gotten messed over really bad. And so we're not playing these outlandish people. We're trying to take people just like us and take them into this world. Another thing is that choices matter about this universe. At the end of Myst, you say, okay, I'm going to choose. I'm going to help Cirrus or Aknar. Now, neither of those are the right choice, but the game ends depending on how you choose. And as an Unwritten game evolves, what you do tells what's going to happen and what's going to happen to the rest of the world. And that is supported by the game system itself. Next theme, you should seek the journey. Myst is about exploration, it's about discovery. Most role-playing games are about combat, action, and there are places for those. I mean, you can have, a native uprising of, book holders, that attack a Denis outpost if you want. But that's not what the game is about. It's about exploration, and exploration is adventure. The game is optimized around discovering things, creating things, seeing what's there. And as you discover more of the universe, that's how your character expands. You learn, you don't get experience points, you don't get gold, you don't pick, you don't loot the bodies. You find things, and the more things you find, the more things you can do. So the more you explore, the cooler you are. And the last of the themes here is, the Great Tree is unending. Dunny, as much as we love Dunny, is a tiny little bit of the Great Tree of possibility. There's a room for any story you want to write out there. Action, adventure, mystery, horror, whatever's out there, you can find an age that has it. Heck, if you've got the right characters with the right knowledge, you can write the age that has it. So this is a big universe. And so one of the things that we want with Unwritten to show is that you can do all these things. And you don't have to step foot in Denis if you don't want to. It's still there, the universe is still there, the rules and the themes still apply. I want to talk a little bit about canon. Unwritten is about your stories. We respect the canon, we will present the canon, but we're also going to give guidance on changing it, expanding it. What happened if Yisha had died early? What would happen if Denis hadn't fell? What happens, 200 years in the future when the world has found out that Denis is under their feet? These are all options. And I said, we may not have all the answers. Cyan does not have all the answers about some of the games that they've done. But for Unwritten, it doesn't matter because your answers are what matters. And we're going to give guidance for how to fold your ideas and your answers into the background. So I want to talk about the actual book that will be created itself. Unwritten will include, amongst other things, an introduction to the Dunniverse for those people who want to engage with myth, but maybe they only ever crack the game open. We're going to have a full set of Fate rules. Collaborative world and character building. Once again, the players will bring something to the table that becomes part of the game. It's not just a GM running and saying, here's what you see. You have a chance to mold that as you go along. We'll have a discussion of the art with rules on how to create ages, how to make linking books, that sort of thing. We'll have a tour of the cavern with maps. We're going to have maps as best as we can. We're going to talk about how to run this sort of game. It's not the sort of game that a role player is usually used to. Usually, with role players, most role-playing games, the idea is if you get bored, everyone pulls out the guns, they start shooting. That's not Myst. And that's not what this game is about. So we're going to give you some guidance on how to, add another mystery, add another level. Ask the players, ask Adris, what do you see, and run from there. We're also, like I said, run some variations. You want to run Dunny during the fall, that's fine. You want to run during the time of the Kings, Garden Day. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Things that apocryphal things that didn't, may never, people just had thoughts of but didn't happen. And modern, what's going to happen when there, and we'll stretch out a little bit. 500 years from now, everybody's using linking books instead of going out in space. What sort of civilization do we have? What kind of game do you run if that's the kind of thing you want to see? Okay. When can we get it? In the future. One of the things is this is a big undertaking, especially if it's something that we want to do right. So we're hoping to have something by the end of next year, but there's no guarantee on that. If it takes longer, we will take longer. We're going to make this as high quality a role-playing product as out there. And we're going to bring, and we're going to take as much time as it's going to be. Alright, so what's in that future? Writing. We have lots of writing to do. The Fate system is coming out with a new version this year. I'm already in talks with the people who make that, so that we'll be incorporating those rules in, so that once again we'll be attached to that community and whatever cool ideas that they have come up with. There will be playtesting. We've begun some playtesting already. Most of the playtesters I'm working with are already in this room. And then, you can raise your hands if you want. Okay. We're going to go this over and over again. That's part of why it might take so long. It may work, something that works for us may not work for you. That means it needs to change. We're going to be engaging artists for illustrations, layout, cover art, that sort of thing. And we're also going to be putting together a Kickstarter at some point next year so that we can pay these people. We're going to pay these, find professionals, pay them professional wages so we can make a professional project. As we get more details on the Kickstarter, obviously we'll get those out to the community. Hopefully we've got some ideas from pretty good Kickstarter level prizes and that sort of thing, but we'll see how that works out. Let's see. So, this is going to be, where does the money go? We're going to have a Kickstarter. We're going to collect money. After the Kickstarter is done, we're still going to sell books. So where does that go? We have to pay people. We're going to pay the writers. We're going to pay editors, graphic designers, artists. Like I said, we're dead set on this being professional grade product. We've got to make books. We've got advertising to do. Once again, we're going to try to rope more people into our community so everybody can see more of how much we love this, so they can see it why they're going to love it too. There's other overhead costs, accounting, taxes. After all that's covered, we're making donations from the proceeds to the CavCon meeting to help the cavern going. We're making donations to the Falling Man group, which is the umbrella group that runs Mysterium. And then at that point, we're also going to be giving royalties to Cyan. Our agreement with Cyan is that we can sell things, we can keep all of our, we can pay all our costs, and they're not worried about the costs until we start, until we've made it even. We've made even, and then it's like, okay, now it's time for to get their slice of the pie. So that's kind of where the money is going. So I sped through this. I got a lot of stuff. So, is there any questions?
Clever wants to know what kind of materials people will have to buy.
Okay. You'll need dice, because this is role playing game thing. Fate is based off what's called fudge, which are these little dice that have pluses and minuses on them, which are kind of what it's based around. You don't need those to actually play. There's going to be sets of rules specifically for, you got a bunch of dice from your Yahtzee set. That's what I did. If we have time, I may even throw some rules for doing things on a LARP basis, using rock, paper, scissors. But if I have time to write the rules out. And as that, and you can buy a book. Any other questions?
Where do we sign up to playtest?
Well, when I'm asking for playtesters, I'm going to put a message out. It'll go out to the Guild of Messengers and the Mist forums and all the other usual places. Before we get into the heavy playtesting, it's going to be a little while because I want to make sure we have the documents so that we can hand out to people and you can say, I don't know what you're talking about. Rewrite it. So we're looking at this. It'll be like a beta of a software. Tell us what's wrong, and so we can fix it.
So what sort of, the people working on this, what sort of breadth of other RPGs have they played before?
Played?
Yeah, played or just know about.
Okay, well, the primary people working on it are, I said, myself, Ellery, Alan Nat, and Doug. So Doug is not a Myst fan. He is an RPG writer. He's a friend of ours who has experience in the community, in the industry, so we wanted that sort of thing. I've been playing games, since I can remember. Everything from art, D&D, heavy on the storyteller systems. So if anybody wants to talk about vampires, I can talk about that for hours. But a lot of also alternative games. I'm a big fan of things like Dresden Files system. I've run Fate system before, Dresden Files, a couple times. What the other ones? Paranoia, ran LARP forever, ran some really big LARPs. How was some of the other ones? In Nomine, Feng Shui. So we got a wide breadth of different kind of things, as well as some of the more newer indie sort of stuff, like Universalis, which I always pronounce wrong, so I apologize if I got that wrong.
I've never played it, so I don't have a
But,
there.
I've hung out in the Forge if you're in the indie community, so you know that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Gary's played a lot of those with me. Gary's played a lot of different games. A lot of stuff that Gary's getting to is that he, as the proprietor of, DPWR, knows as much about the knee as anyone else does. So he's the person I'm going to make sure, did I get this right? We have a couple, we have one other person who's in our playtest who's been, he's another person who's not a Myst fan, but been brought in to, a veteran gamer to see how he reacts to things. So.
Are there any other skills and abilities from other people that you're looking for as potential additions to the team?
At some point, when we'll be talking more about that, I said we're going to need definitely illustrators. That's going to be a big thing. Editors, that sort of thing. A lot of it we'll see as we go along. If something comes up, for instance, if we need some language, you know where we're going to go. But we have some ideas about trying to get to the community to kind of help with certain things. But this is a long-term project. People got a lot of things going on. We're going to take it a step at a time. So that's kind of a non-answer, but that's what it is.
How much history are you going to be planning on putting into the book itself? Like, how much lore of Dunny itself are you planning to put, or is it just are you going to be covering loosely what happened?
It's going to be loose, yeah.
Yeah. But is it just going to be loosely what happened in the past and in game itself, and so you're?
It's going to be a high level of the history. There are a lot of other places out there, like the DPWR, who have the encyclopedic level of knowledge there. We're not going to try to recreate that. It's out there already. But we're going to try to create a high level, listing of here's the history and here's what it's, especially for those people who come to the game who are not Myst fans, so they can dig in. And there will be a page, at least said, if you want to know more, DPWR, Myst Online forums, Myst lore, where all the other places you can go.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Quick question. I'm completely ignorant about what happened to her after getting tapped in Second Life. I know that you know more than I do. How did any of that get related, and did that lead to this direction?
In terms of the people in Second Life and such, or?
Well, a lot of people went and rebuilt a lot of Uro in Second Life.
Some of that is an inspiration for some of the direction that we're going here. The fact that people, whenever something with Cyan, doesn't work out, and things happen, the community is still there, and they go out and they make stuff, and whatever's there, Second Life, there's a huge community there. They've rebuilt things. There was a community in there. People, there's a Mystcraft thing in Minecraft. People, wherever there are Myst people, they will build it. And that's the part is here. There are a lot of places to build things. There are not a lot of ways to build story. And so that's where the ideas for this came from. Is where can we, what can we do to help create that? We need more story.
Do you have a website up, or we can direct our practice?
Yes, www.unwrittenrpg.com. There's also a Facebook page, as well as a Google Plus page, and we're on Twitter at unwritten_RPG. So, not very much there at the moment. We'll be setting on more stuff as we get more along. All right. Well, thank you for letting me take your time.